Hey guys, and welcome to my stream. Today we are playing the match for the third place in the LiAntichess World Championship. I'm playing the very strong Peruvian player Antichess Valentino, with whom we tied in the Swiss stage 5-5. Today we are playing 12 games, so let's see who is gonna finish on the podium, and let's see who is gonna take the revenge. I hope you guys will enjoy the stream. Also, the match. It's gonna be a very exciting, very interesting, very nerve-wracking match. So, guys, I hope you will be on the edge of your seats. We should start any moment soon. I'll try to invite him. I can see that he is online, so let's start. Alright, so he has the white pieces and I start with the black pieces. Okay. So yeah, I expect the Watkins c3, c5, bishop b5. Um, yeah, so he asks me to be sure if it's 12 games. Yes, we played 12 games as I mentioned, guys. I hope you will enjoy the match. Okay, so very... Okay, so he plays this one. Alright, now I need some time to think here. So of course I can allow rook a7, rook takes, and then it might be actually very fine for me. I'll maybe just, or yeah, I was thinking to pin his bishop, but he's gonna go for knight a3, bishop a3 anyway, so it wasn't that necessary to try to pin the bishop. Okay, so he chooses this one instead, which is very interesting. Bishop a4, knight a6, he should push a5. Yeah, my bishop is a bit bad here being pinned, but I have some bishop g7 ideas at some point. That's what I can see. Alright, so he plays that, which is very interesting. What about b5, a takes, bishop h6, he takes my knight, bishop d2 here, d4, a7, and he remains with the knight. Yeah, very hard to calculate. I'll push g5 for now. I'm gonna keep a bit safe. Maybe cb. Okay, so he goes for that instead. What did I do? c5, a7. Wow. Okay, that was such a bad first game. I should have just sacked my bishop. Okay, so he goes for the same line with black. I didn't expect that. I expected c4 instead of queen c7. Now c4, bishop h3, knight c3 follows. Good luck. Thank you, Ifchon. I hope you enjoy the match. Yeah, usually bishop h3 is the right move. So now knight c3, if b5. Happens I take with the knight and I'm much better. G5, C5, and I'm better again. Yeah, usually this one is very drawish with perfect play by both sides, but yeah, it's very tricky. Black has to be careful. Okay, so we have this one. Hmm, looks a bit weird to me because I can allow king d5, I can take with the king. With the knight, I can take his king with the knight and then I hit e7 and his bishop is stuck. So what about c5? King d5 I take. Is there some intermediate which I miss? Like knight a6 I take, knight c5. Still like I don't have a follow-up. So c5, something with the bishop, some discovery. I don't see it. Also bishop f5, but I have a single take on e7 if he sacrifices his king on d5. First to 6.5 wins, yes. And in case of an Armageddon, in case of a tie, we need to play an Armageddon match. Okay, so this one looks already better for me. Let's take some time. Maybe b4. I think b4 is winning. No, c6. Yeah, this is winning. Okay, guys. Alright, I'm back in the match. Alright, let's go for the Polish again. Okay, so he has really prepared this wine for the match. Alright, so let's see. So now we saw that after rook a7 and rook takes, he first sacrifices his bishop. Somehow I need to take control over d6, but yeah, I can't really do that with my bishop being on f8 on this diagonal here. I'll try g5 this time. Okay, so he goes for that. Interesting. Yeah, okay, so sack here. Let's go g4. He doesn't have anything after king f3, bishop h6. And if he plays something like knight b1 to gain control over this square, I would just play king g6, which I still played with d4. If he plays d5, knight d7. He has nothing. The d pawn remains. If he sacks everything like a6, knight b5, c4, king d3, bishop h6, the d pawn still remains. Which is either a draw or I win, not sure. I need to think about king g5 at some point because of the f4 square. Maybe should have sacked on b6 first. Yeah, I could sacrifice my bishop, but I didn't think it was good enough. I had too many pawns. If he pushes c6, e6 is totally fine. Yeah, I missed that. I missed bishop g1. Okay, let's go e3 again. Alright, let's try this one. Yeah, this is this is a very tricky line. I gotta be careful in this. Queen race. However, today, what is the weather and the network? The weather is rainy and dark, cloudy, not that good. The network was kind of bad um, in the morning, but now it's better. If I take the knight, queen h2, I take here. Maybe then he takes here, and I have to take here, otherwise queen c5, rook h7, and he wins. Yeah, of course I have to take here, otherwise queen h7, rook h7, then I lose. Yeah, I panicked here. Bishop b7 wins for him. Queen h8. Yeah, I got panicked. Threw that away. This was supposed to be a win for me. Knight g3 coming because of f5. So I guess I have to play e5 to prevent knight g3. I can go for something like d6. Maybe I'll try this one. G3 maybe. Actually, G3 I'll take, and then he has to take with H, and then I can play D6. Maybe FG, but I think it's a bit risky. Yeah, that's what I expected actually. I'll try to push some pawns here in the center. Yeah, this was a mistake in my opinion. Like Rook C2, I don't see it. He has too many pawns here. Yeah, this must be totally fine for me. I'm winning actually. So Rook D6 here. Yeah, I'm winning this one. Alrighty, guys. Hope I can strike back with white now. Should I go for E3 again or something else? Let's try E3 again. I need to be solid. Okay, so he goes for this one again. Let's try E4. Knight A2. Yeah, I really looked at this one, but now I don't remember what I'm supposed to play. Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel that I have to keep the diagonal here. I don't know. I'll try this one. Yeah, maybe Rook G8. He will try to play some race here, but I don't know. Maybe Queen H7, Queen E7 is fine, but yeah, I don't like my bishop being pinned. His bishop is also pinned, but he can solve the problem by pushing E6. But what I will try to do is just to get rid of his king at the very least. Yeah, that's what I expected. I'll try to kind of open the bishop here, but really not sure what's happening. Very messy position. Hopefully I can I can be the one who pulls out. Okay, this is a win, guys. This is a win. Okay, tying the match. That's good news. Let's try c6. Nice work. Hey, Fire, thank you very much. I'm trying my best. a6. Queen h5, I will play b4. He has to take on f7. If he takes on h7, it loses on the spot. Okay, so he knows that. I gotta push b6, then rook a7. d6. Yeah, the reason why I pushed d6 is because he, of course, pinned my bishop. Wait. I'm not a... He says slip. Shoot. Yeah, so d5 actually. But I'm not sure if that's a win or not. Like king e6. He can actually also take my king. King e8. He takes. Then e5 he takes. I take his knight. Queen g7. Wait, I have an idea, guys. What about bishop b2 now? I'll try it. Queen g8, of course. He has e4 at the end, but I have bishop e5, hopefully. Maybe also d4 might be fine for him. Then my knight is a bit stuck. Yeah. Maybe not the greatest of positions I was hoping for. g3 maybe it's very safe, but it's a bit slow in my opinion. I gotta run with the knight, otherwise I would get folded by these pawns here. Okay, so now he has to sack his rook. I'm very lucky to have knight d6. d4, knight a7. Yeah, no other choice. And then I need to sack. Not sure what might be good here. Wait a sec. I'm really tempted by bishop, but I'll keep it safe with a king. I really don't know. If bishop was fine, like something like rook h8 and then king e2 is what I saw. Maybe still losing though. Is he going for the draw? I'll try this one. I don't see it. Okay. Okay, I'm a bit surprised he went for the draw in this position. My king was very stuck. Let's try to win with with e3 again. And if I take the win and then I don't lose with black, I'm gonna go for the draw with white as well. Wait a sec. He can take here. When I take, he takes. Yeah, doesn't work. So here he takes. Here I take back. Yeah, let's try that. He'll take with the bishop, that's for sure. I'll push d3. Maybe. Or knight h3 to pin the bishop. Not sure. Mm. So if I play knight h3, he takes, I take, then bishop a3 I have to take with the pawn, and then c3 I'll have two pairs of double pawns. And d3 avoids that, but um, I'm not sure. Maybe he has some advantage here on the queen side. Yeah, my drawback here is that I have too many pawns. King e5, it's fine for me. He takes here, I take, and he doesn't have a follow-up. Also h4, d5 coming, but I'm not sure if that's any good right now. Oh, knight e4 and I missed that. Insane. How could I miss knight e4 here? Yeah. But, like, can he really win? Yeah, he can. g4, king d6. Yeah, bishop e6, yeah, something. Okay. Yeah, I missed that knight e4 trick there. Maybe should have taken with the king on d2, but then this structure here with my king on d2 and my knight and bishop being totally stuck, I didn't like it. Okay, so he still goes for this one. What about b5? Let's give it a try. Maybe e5 was okay actually. Yeah, I should have gone for e5. Maybe next game, if I win this one, of course, I'll try to go off theory. He seems to be very well prepared. Yeah, I mean something like bishop d6 would be fine, but he can sack and it's like as if I didn't play anything. So yeah, g5 maybe, but then he can run the pawn. So yeah, maybe I gotta do it. d4 now. He goes for this one instead. Yeah, this is a draw. This is a draw. Yeah. He says break, but I'm not sure if it's right now or after this game. Now, please. All right. Yeah. So he goes for a break. I'm gonna go through these games from my other account. Um, yeah, guys, very tough match. I hope you really enjoyed. Um, I need to find a way to not lose with black, maybe. But also with white, I haven't felt that comfortable in the match so far. He really plays some other stuff than what I'm usually used to seeing from him. Yeah, so the last game it's basically flawless by both of us. Um, yeah, of course you don't see that, but I just if I discover some novelty maybe which can help me win, yeah, I just don't want to have it on stream. Yeah, okay, so the last game we played with the last game I played with white, yeah, I ran into some preparation where had only moves, which I was able to find, but it's a hard um it's a hard position. I don't play such risky positions. Yeah, the last 2 3 games he's performing better in terms of evaluation and what Stockfish shows. Wow, I had a win in the game where my king was stuck but we decided to go for the threefold repetition. I was winning at the end. Wow, okay. Okay, I found something. If he goes for the same one again, I will maybe surprise him. Yeah, alright. Let's take a look at the first games which I lost where he took the lead with 3-1. We can see, yeah, I know, I don't want you to see, guys. Maybe because there is some chance he also watches the stream. Yeah, the queen race which we had, I was winning it. I told you guys I knew I messed up. Yeah, we have like 3-4 minutes more before we should resume the match. Yeah, basically I don't play that badly, but he's he also seems to be very well prepared, so I'm I'm both curious and a bit worried what he might come up with after the break. Yeah, and the first, yeah, actually the worst game I have played in this match is the first one where I pushed e5 without any proper reason. Yeah, I really don't know what he might come up with. Yeah, okay. Yeah, hopefully I can survive. I can't really afford to lose anymore. Then I have to fight for the Armageddon. Now I have the white pieces. Hmm. Yeah, I can see that in the Swiss stage I have only spammed e3 against him, so that doesn't really help me. I'm sorry, guys. I just need my charger. Actually, not right now, but I'm gonna need it very soon, so I don't want to get distracted by this fact when we resume the match. But I think it's maybe time to start again. Yeah, I need to be white. Um, 12 people wait to start the match. Yeah, of course. Okay, let's try a4. Let's try a4. Maybe he prepped against e3, but I don't want to risk it. I just can be certain what he has prepared against my e3, so I'll try to hopefully get him off book. Throw him off book actually. Wait, what about c5 now? Maybe rook h3, then gh6. But then I believe I can survive with f4 after takes. Bishop takes, knight takes. And if g5 I take with the pawn. Of course rook b6. Bishop a6. I'll go for knight c4, knight a5. Yeah, but actually might be a bit bad for me. Yeah, okay, so this is the position. Oh, actually, knight c4 he can take. I gotta keep that in mind. Maybe he'll push e6, e5 something. e5 maybe. e6, I think it loses to knight d6. Not sure. Bishop g7. No, actually I have knight d6, knight d4. Yeah, this must be winning somehow. Yeah, this is winning, guys. I'm back in the match. Alright, very intense. Yeah, I'm not really sure what's happening in this position now. Yeah, on the one hand, I feel that I have to take here, but then I can sack my bishop. On the other hand, I don't like the structure of the position, but yeah, maybe I'll go for that. c4, I have knight b6, I guess. Bishop h6 should be fine. Okay, at least getting rid of this terrible bishop. Maybe should have played knight f6. Maybe king f2 and take with the king, but I don't know. Yeah, not a great position. Yeah, I couldn't catch my knight. Knight e7 is what I wanted to play. Now I need to win. Knight e3, I lose this one. I lose the match. Yeah, this is over, guys. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I wanted to play knight e7 here. Turns out knight f6 is also fine. Yeah. Yeah. Shouldn't have gone for something, I don't know. This, yeah, here I'm out of book. c4, I thought about it, but like, I don't know, gets a complete mess with this pawn here on a6. yeah, I don't know. Alright, guys, yeah, this was it for the stream. I'm gonna make a separate video where I will analyze the games and just share my thoughts. I don't want to make it a very long stream. Yeah, guys, yeah, this year fourth place, last year first. Yeah, all these guys in the finals and semifinals who made it that far are so strong. Yeah, I can't win every time. Yeah, but yeah, this is it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for the support, and I'm gonna see you very soon in the first round of the Olympiad, which should happen in a couple of days. But until then, guys, take care, and I'm gonna see you very soon. Bye bye. Hey guys, and welcome to the analysis part of my match against Antichess Valentino for the third place of the LiAntichess World Championship. So it has been some time since we played this match. I could also see that I looked a bit differently while we played the match. I had shorter hair, but anyways, okay, so I'm gonna go through all the 12 games. Um, let's remind ourselves what happened in this match, and more importantly, let's see if I managed to reach the podium this year. Last year I was the winner, but this year I played the third place match. So let's see what happened. All right, so this is the first game. I had the black pieces and Val opened with e3. I responded with the Polish c5, my usual response. We have bishop b5. He follows the Watkins refutation, so we have queen c7, bishop takes, standard stuff so far. H6 here, rook takes, knight takes, and here to my surprise, Val took on f7. The usual response he does is queen b7, which is also the main line if we follow Watkins, but with queen f7, with perfect play, this move leads to a draw. So we have king takes, g4, knight takes, knight h3, knight takes f2, king takes, rook h3. Here pretty standard stuff, and here I was again surprised by his move. He played b4. Actually the move white should play is d3, but Val decided to go for b4, so we have c takes b4, d3, rook takes, king takes, b3 of course, because he set up this threat of knight c3, bishop b2, and I have to take ton of pieces. So we have b3 as I said, a takes b3. Here I spent some time thinking whether I should play g5 also to pin the bishop, but I decided to keep it more smooth, more mild, so I played g6 instead. We have rook takes, bishop a3, he just gets rid of his bishop because it's kind of stuck. So that was a very good move by him. We have rook takes, knight takes, and here I spent some time trying to figure out what to do. So I finally decided to play bishop to a4, which looked very logical to me, but Stockfish thinks it's a mistake. It prefers bishop c6 for some reason. No way I find this move, of course. I mean, I can see here there are some overloaded squares, but yeah, I wouldn't really consider it. So yeah, I played bishop to a4, pawn takes, and now knight a6. I set up b5, so he has two takes. He played king d2. I played g5. Here I was trying to figure out if I have something after b5, ab, and then bishop b takes a6. I was considering to play my bishop somewhere, but I could see that it leads to nothing. I would still remain with these two pawns here, so yeah. Alright, so I played g5 instead. We have c4, and now of course he threatens c5, and I have some takes. that follow-up. So I played b5, he took ab5, and here Stockfish suggests knight b8. No way I find this move. I mean, it really doesn't seem logical to me, because if I move my knight back, sooner or later I just get flooded by all these pawns here and my knight will run out of squares. So I really don't understand this move. Here, unfortunately, I played a very big blunder. I played e5. I just tried to get rid of his knight, but unfortunately for me, it's just a direct loss. After he takes my knight, I take his knight as well with my bishop, but now he has d4, ed4, king c3. I take his king, and after c5 I just resign, because after I take he has a7 and I take, and he's victorious. Okay, not a great first game. He surprised me with queen f7 and b4. These were the main moves that really took me aback and kind of threw me off book, and like they were just out of my expectations. Okay, so let's proceed with the next game. Here I had the white pieces and I opened with e3 as well. Since, especially against Val, he is a theoretical player, I feel most comfortable with e3. Of course, we will see later in the match if that paid off or not. Because right now, when I look at my games, I definitely think I should have been more various, but yeah. Okay, so we have the same opening. He responds with the Polish. I play bishop b5 and he follows Watkins with queen c7. Just the opening we just witnessed. So again, so far we have the same stuff, and of course I took on f7 as well. So right now we have entirely the same game, but here the difference is that I didn't push b4, but I played d3, which is the main move, as I mentioned in the first game while I was analyzing it. So d3, rook takes, king takes, c4, dc, bishop h3. Of course, main moves so far. We have knight c3, king e6. This kind of surprised me as well, because of course I over control the d5 square, but usually black decides first to pin the bishop here. It's not common to see black coming out with the queen, with the king, sorry, that early. So I played c5 instead. I thought it was a really good move, because, for example, if he sacks his king, I take the king and now his bishop is totally stuck. It's also pinned, so I would just win the game instantly. Maybe knight c6 might save him in the short term, but of course this looks like an awful structure to have. Like, this bishop is totally out of the game. The rook is not good. The knight is pinned, like it blocks the way, of course. But yeah, it's very just easy to try and play against this knight at some point. Maybe b4 here to further pin the bishop. So yeah, very bad position for black. But instead of going for king d5, Val decided to step back with the king on f7. So he kinda lost the tempo here. Like, his king was on f7. I played c5. Before that, knight c3, c5, and now he played king e6 and now back to f7. Like, it totally gave me some advantage here. Of course, I basically won 2 10 piece. Okay, so I played b4, which looks to be the right move. Of course, I try to play on the queen side, because he's really lagging behind with development here on this part of the board. So he played a5, which is a blunder. So b takes, rook takes, and now we have c6. Of course, rook a2, rook a2, bc6, knight b5, takes c4, king d3. Yeah, and I just give away all my pieces. Alright, so far we have 1-1. This was the second game. Not a good game from his side as well. Okay, so we have the third game here. Looks like I lost it, and we have the same opening, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because I think it might be a bit boring for you guys who watch the video to just eyewitness the same openings over and over again. Yeah, we have the same stuff. There's nothing really I can add up to what I already mentioned in the previous two games. We have b4 again by him and not d3. So we have cb4, d3, rook takes, king takes, b3 here, of course. And now here I play g5. I spend like 45 seconds, I can see here down at the bottom. The move I played in the first game was g6, but you guys should remember that I was also hesitant if I should play g5 to pin the bishop. Yeah, so I played g5, rook takes again. Like, the bishop is pinned, and he could go for bishop a3 as well in this game. But of course, the difference would be the pawn on g5 and not it being on g6. But this time he decided to go for bishop d2, which again kind of surprised me because this bishop is not that good, I would say. So is mine as well. I can't really push the central pawn. I can't really play it anywhere on a good square. But yeah, the thing is, he decides to preserve his bishop, which is not that good, which I really don't understand, but let's see what he had in his mind. So of course I have to drop my rook, otherwise we have knight a3 and then I'm gonna just um, take all of his pieces. So of course rook a3 is a must. We have knight a3, bishop a4, and here Stockfish suggests bishop g7, which when I look at it now looks very logical because when I play it, he can't really drop his king because now he has to take my pawn on g5. Of course, he has to play something like bishop c3, and of course, he can drop a lot of pieces here. But the thing is that his knight is on a black square, so there's just no way he can give it away as well. And as you guys should know, in anti-chess, the knight is the worst piece you can have in an endgame. So yeah, that's the thing here. Of course, I also have my knight, but it's really far away from the action here and from the center where white has all of their remaining pieces. But instead of going for bishop g7, I pushed g4 because I was thinking, alright, so maybe if he drops his king, I just take, then we have bishop h6, and we have a similar idea. Like, he dropped some pieces, but again, his knight is on a black square, so his next move is on a white square, as you can guys see. So there was just no way he could get rid of it. Um, but of course, he didn't go for king f3. Like, if he had done it, then it immediately becomes winning for me. So he played d4 instead, kind of sets up this threat of, for example, if I decide to push e5 in the center, then I have to take his knight on a3 because my bishop is pinned. So here I played king to g6 just to cover these two squares with the king in case he decides to drop his king again, as I mentioned the previous move. Um, Here he played a5, a move which I don't really understand. To be honest, it would be really good to have knight a6, for example, to try to get rid of my knight. But here, the why I said I don't understand this move, because after knight d7, I threaten knight e5, knight c5, and knight b6. I can very easily just get rid of my knight. And of course, if he, for example, decided to push a6, of course he played c4 here. But if he had decided to go for a6, when I take, I have this threat of a5 now to activate his bishop here. Um, so I thought that knight d7 is a really good move because, for example, he can't also push d5 because now I have the intermediate e6 and d6, bishop a3, e d7, and now I'm in the driving seat. Just I'm just able to drop some pieces, of course, like bishop b4 takes, b6 takes. Of course, I have to beware of rook promo. But yeah, I just get a slightly easier endgame to play because I just have two pieces. But of course, if I have to be honest, I would maybe prefer white here. There are just more pawns, so potentially white will just gain more material, which is of course beneficial in the endgame. So yeah, uh, we were here at this point. I told you guys I played knight d7 because I could see that I can really easily get rid of my knight. So he played c4, which I think is a very good move. He threatens c5, and when I take and he takes, yeah, let's say I push g3 just to illustrate. So we have c5 takes takes. Of course, I get rid of my knight, but now my bishop again is just so bad. Like it's pinned double here. I can push the pawn. I think in the long term he can just start marching down his king, trying to target my bishop here. So I really think this should be favorable for white. If you check the engine very quickly, yeah, it's plus 1 point something. So yeah, slightly better for white. But so here I was down to 2 seconds, unfortunately, whereas he had 40 seconds. As you can guys see, very unfortunate, very bad time management actually from me. I was just trying to figure out what to do. So I played knight e5. Here we have d5, king g5, and here um, I was just also trying to pin his bishop as well because my bishop is pinned as well. But I think when I look at it now, king f4 might be very good for him. Yeah, yeah, it's a really good move. Plus 7 as you can guys see here. But instead he went for a6. I took, of course, because I'm forced to. And now we have king f4. So yeah, he still played it. Okay. So we have to exchange, and now we have g3 by me. Very bad move. I should have dropped my bishop maybe, because now after g3 and bishop takes, my bishop is just totally stuck. And now in the best scenario, I just have three moves, and then I can just and then I have to move my bishop or either take his knight on a3. So yeah, I'm just basically out of moves after g3. We have a5, c5, a4. Yeah, just a waiting move with the bishop. We have bishop g1, of course, and yeah, here I resigned. So yeah, not a bad game by me here. It's just bad time management, so I was just forced to play something at the end and not lose on time. Of course, I had a worse end game, but not necessarily losing. Alright, guys. So here we are. We have e3 by me again. We have c5, bishop b5, again the same opening. But here we have a different response. We have knight h6, bishop takes, knight takes, e4. Here he played g5, which I'm not quite familiar with, to be honest. But it seems that I found the right response. However, it seems I lost this game, unfortunately. So we have e5, pawn takes, c4, knight takes, and here I played queen a4. I could guess I need to play a queen move here, but I just had to play it on b3 and not on a4 as I did. Um, yeah, so the main idea with queen b3 is just to target the b7 pawn here, and then well, if he decides to take, of course, with the bishop he has to grab these pieces here on this diagonal. Um, but yeah, my idea was just to target his king here instead, um, because sooner or later he has to take the pawn on d2, so his king would remain without any defense. And that was my idea, yeah. So he played knight b2, I took his knight, we have queen d2, bishop h8, queen e1, here just series of exchanges and takes. I'm not just gonna spend any time on them because there are just multiple options for each one of us. We have queen h6 here, just the idea is to potentially remove also the pieces on the same file where my rook is, and just to prevent it also from being involved in the action in all of these just crazy takes. So queen h6, queen h2 of course, and now if I take the pawn on h7 for example, he has queen h7 and I have to take back, and then of course I lose the game. So queen g5 is the only response, queen g1, queen e7, queen b1, rook h7, queen a1, and here unfortunately for me, I was almost spending all my time here. I had 16 seconds and I played this move when I remained with under a second. Unfortunately, however, it seems that it's a losing one because I was really concerned that he will leave my pawn on a2 and here he would just take my bishop. However, now I see that maybe I could go with this move instead. I think it's just winning right away. Yeah, it's actually the only move after queen takes on h8 that wins the game for white. Very unfortunate. But yeah, here after queen b7, of course he takes my queen, and now I just have to take off his pieces in a straightforward direction, which of course is, in most cases at least, is just deadly. So rook f7, and here we have queen h8 of course, and yeah, now it's just apparent that it loses on the spot. Yeah, very unfortunate. So basically I managed to find all the moves, it's just that I blundered with queen b7 in a severe time trouble. Again, very bad time management by me. So it seems that I definitely need to work on it. Yeah, anyways. Okay, so we have the next game. I had the black pieces here, and Val opened with e3 again, but here, instead of going with c5, the Polish defense, I decided to go with knight h6. We have bishop a6, b a6, of course we have played that also many times. Queen h5, g6, standard stuff, but here he has to take the pawn on g6 actually. Instead, he decided to take my knight, which I don't personally consider as good as taking the pawn on g6 for white. But of course, let's see what happened in this game. Of course, bishop takes the queen, b3, just developing, opening up the queen side here also for the bishop. Um, Bishop e3, d e3, so it really prevents me from playing c5, trying to expand and open up my queen side as well, also making some room for my queen here on this diagonal. So we have e6 instead. I decided to push in the center so I can potentially just grab all of these squares right here after I place my queen on h4. So we have knight e2, and now here I played e5 move, which I maybe wouldn't play right now because like I pushed my pawn once and now I pushed it twice. However, actually the point is that if I don't take any precautions here, his idea with knight a2 is just to drop his knight on g3 and then target h5 and f5, which I just over control with my pawns on g6 and e6. So with e5 I actually prevent knight g3 because I have e4. Okay, so we have rook f1, now he threatens h4, I played queen g5, we have g3 by him, queen takes on g3, hg, And now we have d6, a move which I like actually, because if he plays g4, which is actually the move he played, we have bishop g4. Now there is just no way for him to continue giving away his pieces here. I just managed to get rid of my bad bishop because it wasn't it wasn't good here with all in this open position, and also with all the pawns he had right here. Especially I couldn't push g6 earlier. Here, for example, I couldn't push d6. Yeah. Okay, so g4, bishop b2, good move also, because now he also gets rid of his bishop. I take his knight, d e5. Now, if you ask me, I would maybe take his rook first, but I took on e5. So king e2, knight d7. Of course, I develop my knight, but now with c4 he tries to play against it, so I need to drop it back on f8. We have a4. He just starts marching these pawns down on the queen side, and maybe just try to expose my isolated pawn on c7 and also my pair of double pawns on the a file. So we have f5. Or like in comparison, maybe is the more correct term to use. In comparison, I decided to push in the center and just try to open up maybe the f file potentially, if he of course pushes e4 and f3, and then I drop e4. Yeah, just I think it was the right strategy to do here. So we have rook d8, rook d8, king d8, rook a2, e4 now. We have king d3, take his king, knight d2, f4. Of course, I drop a lot of pawns here. We have c5, now c6, b4, a5. Actually, b4 is just a losing blunder. Right, it just loses right away for him, and I managed to find the right mating sequence. So we have a5, pawn takes, rook d6, takes king e7, of course, and now he has double takes here, and now I have enough time to march my pawn against his knight. We have c5, he promotes to something, doesn't matter what. We have c4, d2, a6, and yeah, I just stalemate myself and I win the game. So right now it's 3-2 in his favor. Let's see what happened next. Um, Again, I opened with e3 when I had the white pieces here. We have c5 by him, bishop b5. Again, the Watkins response, the Watkins refutation against the Polish, which ridiculously Stockfish thinks it's an inaccuracy. Okay. So knight h6 again by him. Like he played this response the previous game when he was black and he won, even though I managed to find the right sequence of moves. It was just the blunder of queen b7, if you guys remember. So we have bishop d7, knight d7, e4 again, g5 by him again, but here I decided to close the position. Like, of course, I can drop my queen somewhere on this open diagonal, but instead I played knight e2. So we have knight f5, e takes f5, f6, and here this position really resembles the double knights, one of the responses in the double knights defense, but I'm not gonna show it now, guys. It's just unnecessary detail. So here after queen h5, of course I target his pawn on h7 to open up his rook on the h file. I also target his king. But here black's main drawback is that the bishop is pinned here with the pawn on f5. So yeah, let's see. He played rook g8 instead. He had to play e6 and just yeah, f takes e6, and I think it just becomes kind of crazy here. Just many different options. But yeah, he played rook g8 instead. He decided to go for a rook versus queen race, which usually favors the queen in this type of positions. And as you can guys see, it's made in 15 for white. And of course, let's see what happened. I won this game, so most likely I managed to find all the right moves. Okay, so I took his king, of course, so I can have more options after he takes on g2, because if I take here and he takes here, my only option is to take on e7, which of course, yeah, is not preferable in this case for me. So I have queen e8, rook g8, queen d7. Now I just try to expose this pin here. We have rook h2, queen d8, of course. We have rook f2, king f2. Very, very important move here. I just take his rook, which was collecting my pieces, and now his only piece to take my pieces is the bishop. But yeah, of course I also involve my rook here, but I just have more and more options, whereas his bishop just occupies the white squares. So he's really limited in this manner. Yeah, so we have bishop f5, queen e7, bishop c2, queen b7. I just keep collecting unprotected pieces so I can just make him keep taking and taking further. So we have bishop b1, of course, only moved by him now. Rook h7, bishop a2, queen a7, rook a7, rook a2, and of course here he could take here because my bishop is stuck, but I think rook f7 is just winning. Let's see. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because rook b2, rook f6, rook d2, rook f8, rook f2, rook f4, rook f4, bishop f4, just something, and this is how I win as well. Instead, however, instead of taking my rook on a2, he took my rook on h7, but of course this doesn't solve his problems, because now we have king g3, fg3, d4, cd4, b4, and I just give away all my remaining pieces. Okay, so I managed to tie it to 3-3. Let's see what happened in the next game. We have e3 by Val again, but of course I decided to go for something different. We have c6, bishop b5, cb5, b4, queen a5, ba5. This is just the Watkins refutation vow that falls against c6. And of course, I also follow the hardest response, like the longest sequence of moves that black needs to play to lose the game, actually. So let's see, a6, queen h5, he follows it, still follows it. I have played b4, again the main move, queen f7, king f7. If he had taken on h7, it actually loses on the spot um, for white right away. Yeah, it's worse, but especially if white plays bishop a3, then this is surely losing for white. Let me just very quickly show you guys. And now king move bishop b7, and then just bishop b2 is next, and then just the rook is gonna grab all of black's pieces. So queen f7 is very crucial here um, to play. We have queen f7, of course Val knows that. King f7, bishop a3, still the Watkins refutation. And here I was a bit not sure what to do, to be honest, because now I can see that knight promo is coming, because he's gonna target the d7 and the a6 pawns, and both of them I just protect with my bishop, which either way would be just deadly for me, because now I either have my bishop opened on this diagonal, on the a6 f1 diagonal, or the c8 h3 diagonal. So that's why I play d6, to potentially maybe just drop my bishop. Here we have queen promo by him, which looks to be the right move. Maybe I would just go for bishop promo instead. Not sure. But yeah, we have queen promo by him, d5, queen c8, and here I would maybe just go for d4, to be honest, just to get rid of my bishop because it's pinned by the knight here. So instead, unfortunately, I have played king e8, very bad move when I look at it now. We have e5, queen e5, bishop a3, queen g7. Here, basically, once he has his queen on g7, targeting my protected pieces here and activating my rook, it's really hard to decide how to proceed. Maybe I would have, if you ask me now, guys, I would maybe just go for this and now bishop c5, I believe. Yeah. Bishop b2. Okay. So that's actually, however, that's actually the move I played instead. I didn't push d4 right away. I played bishop b2 instantly. So he played queen h7. I took his rook. We have queen h8, bishop h8. Yeah, here I think d4 is just devastating. I have to play knight h6. I can't really play knight e7, for example, because then he pushes c4, dc4, d5, f4, etc. There are just tons of pieces I can take. Yeah, but he played e4 instead, de4. We have d3, takes, and here I had to play bishop f6. However, I went for bishop e5. We have knight f3 by him, which seems to be the right move. Bishop takes, knight e7. He starts centralizing the king. We have a5 by me, a4, knight c8. I really don't know how I managed to draw this, to be honest. Here, knight d6, of course. It's a very, very crucial and important move here. Targeting e4 and c4, and also um, I can just put it back on c8 to a safe square. So now he's forced to drop his rook. We have rook c8, knight takes, f4, knight a7, f5. Of course I need to get rid of my knight. And now here some pawn pushes follow, king promo, knight g4, king a2, rook f7, king a3, rook f6, which actually looks to be winning for me. Very surprising and very unexpected, because if I had played king b4, it looks like his g-pawn would remain at the end. Let's say that he plays something like, I don't know, something like d4 maybe, just to drop a ton of pieces. You see, guys, yeah. But I just couldn't figure it out with 6 seconds on the clock. Like, it's really not natural. I need to attack one of his pieces. So yeah, with 6 seconds on the clock, I can't really evaluate it properly. So I just decided to go back to a2 just to a safe square. I tried to repeat, but actually here LiAntichess told that it's just 3-4 repetition right away, which I don't see, but alright. Okay, a draw, so 3.5 to 3.5, not a bad result in this game, especially considering that I had my knight, which, as I mentioned already, is the worst piece in an endgame. Yeah, alright. So in this game we have e3 by me again. Maybe I should have changed already since I tied the match. We have b5, and here he played g5, something different. We have queen f3, queen c7, queen f7, queen h2, rook h2, now c4. And here, to be honest, unfortunately, I was already out of book. We have d3, pawn takes, pawn takes. Bishop a3. Not sure. What if I take with the knight? No, it's mate. It's mate actually. Why is it a mate? It says rook h3 and now b5. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, guys. Yeah. This is surely winning for him. So yeah, ba3, knight c6. Very, very annoying move. because now he targets d4 and b4. My bishop is pinned here on this diagonal, so I need to cover the bishop. And I can't really force him to sack his knight. I don't have the pawn on b2 to push b4, for example. So I played knight d2, king e6, just perfect game by Valve so far. We have knight h3, rook takes, knight take, pawn takes, knight f6 now, and here I played d4. Very unfortunate actually. I had to push h4 first. But yeah, we have d4, takes, knight e4, which I totally missed. I was just looking at king 5, bishop takes, pawn takes, and here I'm just better. Yeah, as you can guys see, definitely better here in this setup, in this position. But I totally missed knight e4. So knight e4, g4, yeah. And after bishop a6, I resigned because after I take the bishop, we have a5, and unfortunately I just have my pawns doubled on the a file, so there is no way I can just force him to promote eventually at the end. Yeah, but for example, if I had my pawn on b2, I just push a3 now. So he plays a4, I push b3, ab, rook a2, pawn takes, and of course, next move he has to promote. But yeah, that's not the case in this position. So it's 3.5 to 4.5 in his favor. Sorry, guys. Um, Here again we have e3 by Val. So I responded with the Polish, decided to be sharp, just keep it sharp. We have bishop b5, queen c7. Again, we have the opening we played in the very first couple of games. And of course, we have b4 again by him. So cb4, d3, rook takes, king takes, b3, ab5. And here, instead of pushing the g pawn, either g6 or g5, I decided to go for b5 instead. So we have rook takes, and here, for example, now I prevent bishop to a3, because if he plays it, for example, I take and he takes with his knight, now he targets my pawn on b5. Of course, here I don't think I have a proper follow-up, to be honest. I think he's still fine. No, he's not. Actually, no. Knight c6, a move I totally missed. Okay, let's pretend this didn't happen. Okay. Of course, yeah. I'm gonna include that in the video. Just some humor, guys, for you. Alright, so we have c4, instead bc4, bc4, bishop b5. I just drop a lot of pieces, and now e6. I just try to target the a3 square and just make him just remain with these pawns eventually. If he played king d2 here, but let's say that he decides to go for bishop a3, we have rook a3, knight a3, bishop a3, and now he has these two pawns. I have an extra bishop and an extra knight, so might be still a draw, but with some winning chances for black, I would say. Yeah, d4 is very annoying, actually. Yeah, it says it's equal. Yeah, I can agree. I can agree. As I said, maybe it's a draw, but just some winning chances for black in some cases, because my pawns, especially the pawn on g7, I have really a lot of moves until I promote to something. Whereas if we compare it to the b5 pawn, yeah, just the b5 pawn is a lot more advanced. Okay, but he played king d2 instead, so we have g5 here. I pin his bishop. We have bishop a3, rook a3, kind of a similar position to the one I just showed you guys. We have b6, knight a6. I wouldn't play that. I would just push one of my pawns. Yeah, particularly the g pawn. Yeah, I think knight a6 is just a waste of a move, to be honest. But maybe my idea was just yeah. Actually, this is what happened in the game. Just knight a6. And in case he pushes b7, I just play knight c7. So now, for example, he can't promote to a king, because this just loses to bishop f8, king c7, bishop d6, king d6, king g6, king e6, king f5, king f5, g4, king g4, and black wins the game. So that was my main idea with knight a6, knight c7. Actually, maybe I just maybe I'll just correct myself. Maybe knight a6 is not that bad when we look at it from this perspective. With knight a6, knight c7, this maneuver here, and just prevent him from promoting to something. Of course, yeah, nothing just really works for him. No promotion just works for him. Even knight promotion doesn't work. Like knight a6, bishop c5. Now everything would just be grabbed by the knight. Yeah, so he played d4. We have bishop c1. Now e5, g4, e6, knight e6. King e6 is also a draw, but I was concerned about a rook promo, to be honest. Oh yeah, okay. If we have king d2, yeah, knight promotion. Beware of that, guys. Just a lot of exceptions in such endgames. But after knight e6, king promotion, knight c7, king c7, g3, and here we agreed to a draw. So it's 4-5 in his favor, and here, if I recall correctly, he asked for a break. Yes, yeah, he asked for a break. I'm not gonna edit this on the video where we played the match. I'm also gonna leave the break part. Maybe, guys, also for you, just to have some rest, maybe, and not just look at all of these moves all the time. Yeah, so here I decided to surprise him with a4, which I really think was crucial to do earlier in the match, just to play more variously and potentially confuse him more, because then we would fall into get a lot of different positions. So maybe he wouldn't be able to just adjust his style, get used to it, adapt to it, etc., etc. Anyways, so yeah, we have a4, c5. We have c4 transposes to the symmetrical variation of the c4 opening, the so-called wizard opening in anti-chess and English opening in chess. We have a5, completely symmetrical setup. We have b4, cb4. I drop some pieces here on the queen side. We have queen c7, queen b3, queen h2, rook a7, rook h7, queen b7, and now c5. Very, very good move in my opinion. It just pinned his bishop at first. If he decides to give away his rook on b6, then he would have a lot of problems, because his bishop is really stuck here on the c8 a6 diagonal. And also, let's say for example he plays rook b5, I take. He can't really afford to get rid of his bishop, because if he does it, now he threatens my pawn on c5, so I have an extra move and just have enough time to decide what to do. I can even play rook b1 here, like knight c5, rook b4, ab, and now I have another move to decide what to do. Just knight f3 is winning right away. Now the rook will just grab everything. Okay, so after c5, he played rook h3, we have gh3 of course, and now we have rook b6. As I said, this move is just very bad in my eyes. We have cb6, we have bishop a6 of course. He tries to get rid of his really bad bishop at all costs. But now I have rook c1, very good move by me. We have bishop e2, knight c6, he also drops his knight. We have rook c6, d c6, and now I decided to, since I was playing for a win, I could see that we have opposite covered bishops. That's why I just decided to drop my bishop here, just to avoid a potential drawish endgame because of the opposite covered bishop, guys. So we have cb5, and now knight takes. Yeah, I think I would take with the pawn maybe. Yeah, the drawback of course is that I double them and they're really close to promotion, so I might have some problems. But on the other hand, when my knight is on a3, I just have pinned his bishop, so he can't really afford to push the e pawn. Yeah, and when I take with the knight, now he's really free to push the pawn. He could do it. He could really do it, guys. But instead he played knight h6, which I think is also a good move, because now he threatens knight g4, f5, e6, all these takes here, then bishop d6. I'm gonna take his king, of course, etc., etc. Here Stockfish suggests knight c3. Yeah, a move I'm not gonna play. Just no way I'm playing this. Of course, I went for the natural h4, because, for example, if he goes for g5, I take, and now I hit his knight, which he protects with his bishop. So he needs to move it somewhere. Actually, g8 is the only good move for him. But yeah, so h4, we have g6 by him. I dropped my pawn h5, gh, knight a2, knight f5. Good move by him. I kind of oversaw this square here, that I over controlled with both of my knights. Here, Stockfish suggests knight back to a3. It's logical, of course, because I have this pin back um, on the bishop here on f8. But yeah, I played knight g3, just getting rid of my knight and also potentially dropping my pawn and just remain with my pawn in the center, which I can start pushing at some point. So we have f5 by him, but also actually one more thing, guys, before we proceed. Yeah, actually my idea also was, if he pushes h4, I take, and now he really has a lot of trouble here. With just this bishop is just so bad. It's just so bad, guys. Like I can very easily target it by starting to push this pawn here on the h file. So that was my main idea, also to exchange the knights. But yeah, as I mentioned, he played f5, so we have g4. I didn't really want him to push f4, e5, and then just drop his bishop. Nope. So we have g4 by me, which very surprisingly is considered a blunder by Stockfish. I just wonder when I'm gonna start understanding this game. Yeah, we have fg4, b7, g3, king promotion. It suggests knight promotion, which I'll never do. Again, he just gets rid of his bishop, and I really want to keep his bishop, actually. Yeah, so if we have king promotion, we have king f7, king c7. Of course, I target d6 now. We have king f6, d4. He played bishop g7. Here, knight d6. Very, very good move, which I really didn't spot, because the bishop is pinned. So his only hope is king e5, which really doesn't work for him either, because he still has these two pawns, and my king on e1 is in front of the pawns and in the square, and whereas in the meantime I can also just move my king down here close to my other king, and then it's just game over. But instead I went for d5. We have king e6 by him, which I still think d5 is very powerful, actually. Yeah, we have king e6 by him, d6, bishop c3, knight takes g2, king d6, knight d5. Very, very good move, because I could spot that I'm gonna promote to a rook, and then I can very easily drop my rook and my knight, and then my king easily gives away itself on one of these three pawns here. Yeah, so we have bishop promotion by him. I think his only hope, because yeah, he targets my knight, of course. Two of the squares I control with my knight. We have e7. However, by me, I'm not really bothered by this move. I really don't care. Just like Hikaru, of course. So we have h4. We have knight e3, bishop takes king f2, and now rook promotion, bishop b6. Of course, if he had played bishop e3, rook e3, h3, rook h3, he still remains with this pawn, and then in 2 moves I just give away my rook. But yeah, he played bishop to b6, and then after rook d8, bishop d8, I won the game. So we have 5-5 tie in the match, and it becomes even more exciting. Let's see what happened in the last 2 games, guys. So we have e3, knight h6 again. Maybe a strategical mistake when I look at it now, because knight h6 gives a solid advantage to white, and I definitely can't afford to lose any more games. But yeah, I just played it. Yeah, maybe I was trying to. I just had the hope of surprising him again. But of course, as I already mentioned, we have played this really a lot of times, so he's familiar with it. But yeah, also when you play the game, when you have to take a decision right now on the spot, yeah, and also all of these emotions, guys, the adrenaline, just everything is just really hard in most cases to take a proper decision. But yeah, of course, when you look it from the side, like when you're just a viewer, a spectator, of course it's easier to judge and maybe just take more rational decisions. Yeah. Alright, so we have knight h6, bishop a6, of course, we played that, but here he played the right response, which is take the pawn on g6. In the previous game where I played knight h6, he took my knight, if you remember, guys. Of course, I'm mentioning that just to remind you. Yeah, so we have fg, knight a2, g5. Of course, g5 is just a must here. Otherwise, if I play something like c6, we have g4 by white, knight g4, rook g1, knight f2, rook g6, hg, king f2, rook h2, and then just white wins the game. Yeah, so g5 is a must just to avoid g4 and rook g1. Yeah, so we have e4 by him, very powerful. We have d5 by me, trying to push and exchange some pieces in the center. We have a4, queen d2, knight d2, bishop h3. I just dropped this very, very bad bishop. We have gh, knight d7, rook a3. Here his idea is just h4 and rook g3 potentially, or knight g3 maybe to try to attack my knight. So I played my knight back to f7, which is a bit passive, of course, but yeah, I just wanted to avoid this g4 threat at the end. Yeah, so we have h4, gh, rook g3, as I told you guys. F fg, bishop h6, very very important move to get rid of my bad bishop. Um, yeah, and also the thing is that he protects his bishop on c1 with his knight on e2. So we have knight f1, exchange of the bishops, and now knight back to h6. He played c4, trying to target my knight, but of course, if he had played g4, I take, and now I'm very safe to take the pawn on h2 because he just defends it with both of his rook and his knight on f1. Yeah, so after knight h6, as I mentioned, we have c4 targeting my knight, so I played knight f6, also targeting d5 now. We have rook g1, I played knight h5, which is a bit unnecessary when I look at it now, because I just decided to drop my knight for nothing, basically for nothing. Yeah, okay, so we have knight h5, just plays something, yeah, tries to improve the king, the position of the king. We have knight h3, hg, e5, king f3. Here he just tries to get rid of my pieces in the center, but then he would grab a lot of space. My rooks are very bad. They are totally disconnected, but also, yeah, my pawn structure is awful. A lot of isolated pawns. Here are these pawns on the a file, the double, this pair of double pawns. Just very bad structure. So of course I decided to preserve my knight. So I played knight f7. We have knight a2, I played e4, king e4, knight h6. Of course, if he had dropped his king when I take it, he really over controls the g3 square with 3 pieces. Um, so yeah, we have knight c3, knight g8, king e5, king f7, king back to e4, and here unfortunately I just lost on time. Yeah, very very unfortunate. So now the result is 6-5 in his favor, and let's see what happened in the last game. I opened with e3 again, just very 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 bad mistake in my opinion. Again, strategical disadvantage because we played e3 for the most of the match. We were just exchanging e3 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 with white. I should have really gone for something else, like maybe a4 again, or maybe c4, knight h3, just something else that looks solid, and just go all in and be out for blood. But now with e3, he just kind of expects in what position he will get into. And with something else, I would just maybe succeed in throwing him off book and potentially get a better position and win the game, equalize the match, play Armageddon, etc., etc., you know. But yeah, just the same thing. The thing I mentioned about the emotions, guys, when you play something and you have to take just an abrupt decision, like an instant decision, a sudden decision, like immediate decision, you know, you can't really rely on the logic and and being rational, you know. It's just the adrenaline, the emotions, you know. A lot of people spectate you, you know, just tons of emotions just completely get over you. Just you're being overwhelmed by them. So yeah, anyways, we have e3 by me. We have the Polish bishop b5. Maybe I should have changed to something else, not bishop b5. Maybe keep it more passive with knight e2, king e2. I don't know, even bishop a6. Yeah, I just went for the stuff we were just spamming the entire match. Very very bad strategical mistake in a must-win situation, guys. So yeah, we have bishop b5, h5 by him this time. Guys, a video is coming in maybe not the so close future, but kind of in the distant future. A video is coming. I had this opening played by one of my biggest rivals in Amsterdam, but also one of my closest friends from the anti-chess community. I'm not gonna spoil anything more. Just guys, please make sure to subscribe to the channel so that so you don't miss any of this content that is coming up, because I have really a lot of content coming up. Just so very nice ideas. I just need time. I don't have that much of a spare time. So yeah. Okay, we have bishop d7 and here knight d7. We have queen h5, rook h5, b4. Maybe shouldn't have opened and play aggressively. Shouldn't have done that. Yeah, king d1 maybe was just a safe option and just wait for him to see what he has decided to do. But yeah, I played b4, rook h2, rook h2. We have cb and now d3, b3, cb, rook b8, and now here I decided to be creative and innovative, and I went for bishop d2, which looked like a good move, but it's just made in 11 according to Stockfish. Yeah, so Val played queen b6 instead. I played rook h6, knight h6, and here I played g4, which is again made for him, unfortunately. And here after knight g4, actually I forgot to mention something. Actually, I really thought that queen b6 is a very irritating move by him, because I could see that, for example, b4 doesn't work. Of course, he threatens queen b3. So I could see that I just need to do something to avoid queen b3, you know, and after a b3 I open up my rook. I really thought it was a very, very annoying move, like very uncomfortable for me. So I played rook h6 as I mentioned here, g4 again made for him. Here I should have played bishop c3, a move there is just no way I'm gonna find. Just no way. Totally unhuman. Yeah, so we have g4, very natural. I just drop a piece and just also involve his knight in the action here, you know. So we have b4 here, but I already knew I was down to 11 seconds, and here I was down to 1 second. I could really realize I was already losing that, unfortunately. Yeah, let's see what happened next. So we have knight a3, bishop e3, queen b4, bishop a7. Of course, we have a bishop versus queen race, which is just deadly for the bishop. Just no way you can survive in such a position. So we have queen b1, rook b1, knight f6, rook b7, bishop b7, bishop b8, e5. He just drops a lot of pieces. g5, f6, bishop g7, king f8, bishop f8, and yeah, here I just resigned because the next move is either bishop e4 or bishop f3, and I just, of course, lose the game. So guys, unfortunately, the result is 7-5 in Vow's favor, which means that in this year's edition of the LiAntichess World Championship, I finished fourth. Last year I was the winner. I actually defeated Vow in the finals. This year I lost in the match for the third place. But yeah, this is it. This is basically like in real chess where you have Magnus, Caruana, Hikaru. They just play all the time, and of course Magnus wins most of the time, but also we have some changes in the rankings in certain tournaments. So here it's definitely the same case. But yeah, okay, guys. Yeah, this was it for the analysis part. I hope you enjoyed it. It became over 1 hour again, but it's just a lot of thoughts, a lot of information, a lot of moves, a lot of positions I would like to discuss with you. And also, my main idea with the channel is to hopefully attract more and more people to the game of anti-chess, because I really think it's an amazing game, amazing variant of chess, which should be more recognizable worldwide. And yeah, okay guys, yeah, so if you liked this video, please make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel, provide your feedback and comments in the comment section down below. This is it for it now, guys. Thank you very much for watching once more, and I'm gonna see you very soon. Bye guys, take care, and I'm gonna see you soon.